What's the toughest lesson you ever learned? Okay, now imagine that you're learning that lesson under the lights in front of thousands and thousands of fans, fighting tough men just like yourself.
How to sit back and how to decipher, discipline, mind control, all this other stuff.
We're going to sit down with Andrew Greene, former NFL and CFL football player, played offensive line, actually an ex-teammate of mine. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. There's going to be some laughs, there's going to be some fun, and you're going to learn about his tough lessons and about what he took away from the game.
I tell people you cannot be a dummy and play sports or play football or play anything on any high level. You will not get past certain levels. Like you don't really go from high school to college or get out of college into the pro if you ain't got this.
If you want to hear raw, real talk about adversity, about bouncing back, about leadership, about grit, you don't want to miss this episode with Andrew Greene. So hit follow, subscribe, and notification. See you on the bridge beyond. Andrew Greene, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's good to see you again.
DC.
I know we just said that too.
What's that?
I said we just said all this. So
yeah, I know, man. It's you know what? It's just really, really good to see you and talk to you. You know what I mean? Even though it's not in person, but man, I miss you, bro.
I hear
What's
it.
going on, Dad?
I hear it, man. I'm getting around. I'm coming back to Regina next month. Good, man.
Good. Hey, man, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Hey, I know you saw that video I sent you of us coming out of the tunnel there, 97 Grey Cup.
Listen, man.
You
wrecked my whole day. You wrecked my whole day. I went right out to the garage and started pumping the kettlebells around. I was so fired up after seeing that, man.
Hey, you were so hyped. That was like your rookie year. The biggest game of your life and everything.
100%, man.
Yeah, I was looking at that. That was a young Drew too as well. That was when I was in my 20s.
Listen, I'm going to play it and we'll see it because you were smooth, man. Coulter was fired up, and I'm just going to play the first three.
The center from Carleton University, number 54, Carl Coulter. Left guard from Indiana, number 68, Andrew Greene. On the other side at guard, number 67 from Windsor, Dan Comiskey.
You're just smooth. You're just like you might as well have walked out.
Even young Gino. I was looking at the because it was Gino's first year too, right?
First or second. Yeah.
Was it a second? Yeah,
it might have been a second. I think he was around a couple years before I was.
Yeah,
he was definitely smarter than I was.
Oh yeah, he was. I was looking at because it was literally obviously one of our biggest games, right? We've been in the first championship game, right? And I was looking at it, I was like, damn, why does Gino look like? I look like he's scared, but he had a good game too. But it was that we're all young, right? And I remember I was pumped, but I was just like, ooh, yeah. It was.
Well, you saw a lot more than I saw though by that time, man. Because I've looked at. I went back into your history. I don't have it memorized, but you started at Indiana in the NCAA. Before that, you were already in high school. But like the story of you getting to Indiana is interesting to me. And that's the Argos training camp. How old were you when you went to the Argos training camp from high school?
Was I 17, 18, something like that?
18.
Yeah, something like that, 18, 19, I don't know.
What were you weighing? Do you remember like your stats? Because I saw pictures and you were stacked, but I mean, you were a big dude anyway, right? But in high school,
I went into college as a little older freshman because I wasn't 18 when I went to. My freshman year. I think I was more like 19, 20 when I went to Indiana. So So I was a little older because up there in Scarborough we went to grade 13.
That's right.
We had a great we had a great 13. So yeah, I was in the Argonauts training camp right out of high school there.
Who was in that camp with you? What were the guys' names? Like who's on that team?
Okay, so I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Fam Lone. He was my partner, right? That's my boy. Like in high school, we were walking around Axe and Smash, right? He's also now OPP out there in Ontario and stuff.
Oh,
right?
nice,
But,
nice.
Right?
Good,
My
good guy to know.
boy Paul Duncan and stuff like that. But we were all tight and stuff. But me and Fam, we were in the Argonauts training camp. We were both in his O lineman. He was a guard, and I was, we were both out of the tackle.
How did you get there though? Like, I mean, like even knowing that was an opportunity. I mean, were you from Peel? Is that right? Where were you living?
Scarborough, Pickering. I don't even know exactly because it was both him and I. If I'm
just
looking
walk
back
in?
and say, no, we walking. Hey,
It is a CFL.
I'm just right out of the street. I honestly can't remember how we got there. Fam might actually remember, but I cannot remember exactly how we actually got in there. But we were in Argonauts training camp. That's a good point. I can't remember if it was Ken Goddard. I know Ken Goddard was he's another guy back then. It could have been John Martini, who was my high school coach. Between one of them two guys,
somebody got
maybe
you.
It could be one of those training camps one of those camps that I attended, which we went in there and we tore up. Like we were in camp. I think we were in a camp in Etobicoke. I remember tearing it up in a defensive end position, but I honestly don't know how I got in there, but we were there.
Andrew, you have some other people in the league that were like, do you remember Chris Morris from the Edmonton Eskimos? He's now is the CEO for the Eskimos. He was an O lineman. He was an O tackle. I played with him almost my whole career when I was in Edmonton.
Yeah.
He's from Scarborough, and he's about the same age as you. Yeah, just a shout out to Chris because they make him tough there, man. He's tough like you are. He was a piece of work.
He must have came out after me.
Might have. I feel like he's a little.
I don't think he's older than me.
Well, anyway, so you came from good.
Look at this.
Yeah, you're old, man. You got the gray hair. It's good to see. It's good to see
hey,
something happen.
Just right here, they call this a silver fox, Dad.
Yeah,
it's a silver fox.
Well, if I didn't have hair dye in, I'd be shaving it like you do. So that's all
I'm glad you kept most of your hair. Look at that,
Yeah, I lost most of it when I was hanging out with you guys. That's for sure.
Oh man, you're fun. You're just fun. Young bull.
Yeah.
Some used to call you young bull.
Oh, buddy, I mean, I look back at those days and just how much I didn't know.
See when you ran out that tunnel, young bull? Jeez.
I was a little fired up.
Yeah. It was great. I was so upset at DB when they brought us in. I remember they called me into the office there. Who was in front of me? I think it was probably J.O. or Gino was in front. No, it was probably J.O. I think J.O. just came out of DB's office right before me. I think we were sitting in the office together in front of DB, and they told us, we got some good news and bad news. What do you want to hear first?
Yeah.
And we're like, so we traded Kami. We're like, what? You traded Kami?
Oh, buddy, I was brokenhearted.
Oh, man. I was like, what do you mean you traded Kami? And then but we got Neil Green. And we looked at each other. I think it was me and Joe. I think it was me and Joe maybe sitting there. And he goes, Neil?
Jeremy O'Day. That's right.
Yeah. I was
like, Neil? That's exactly how he'd say it too.
Like,
yeah.
Of course, I don't want to say anything bad about him, and he's a good person and stuff. But I was like,
well, I was kind of.
That wasn't going to get us to the cup.
No, but
I think what we should have, I think later on what we should have done, right? And this is all on Roy. They should have did what they needed to do to keep Hank. Everybody
100%. Yeah, 100%. Hank was a champion.
Yeah, man, struggling. I see that kid. He threw. I think we were back in our maybe on our 30 or 40-yard, whatever, and he snapped the ball and we were rolling. He's getting pressure and he rolled out, and I think he threw off his back foot, rolling to his right, like 79 yards in the air.
He was
the ball came off his back foot. I think it was back on our 27th or something, or 27-yard line, and threw it off his back foot in the air to Derek Anderson. We used to call him Young Thug back then because he was only like 18.
That's right.
Whatever. Threw it down there, and I think he went up to go. I think he climbed the ladder to go get that thing too. But I was like, dude, you guys see that?
I played in 2010 in Calgary, and I played with Hank as a quarterback one last time. And I ended up getting injured, by week 12. I was no longer. I was 38. I was stupid to go back, but Hank was still.
You're 38.
Yeah, I was 38. That was enough.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? That's a funny thought because I think I was 42 when I left too. I think it was about year 10. I was sitting in the gym there. We all used to work at Regina Court and Fitness with Carm and them.
That's right.
And that was Carm's gym back then. Carm Card Terry.
It's changed
Right.
a lot. I was in town a while back, and I went and
Yeah.
I went in to check it out. It's totally
Yeah,
different place.
it's not that anymore. It's called Evolution. But anyway, I was back there and Raj Aldag and Poley and those guys. They used to all go. We all used to work out there, in the gym there, and they all used to play handball and stuff. And Raj was like, we're in the locker room, and Raj, was like, Drew, he goes, when are you gonna retire? I was like, man, I don't know. It's 10 years, da da da. I don't know. He goes, you know what? He goes, I said, what? I said, when did you retire? What made you know when to retire? Because it's 10, it's 10 years usually.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what? He goes, play as long as you can, and then play one more. That was his advice he gave to me. As he goes, play as long as you can and play one more.
Isn't that
I'm
funny?
like, yeah, that's exactly what he said. I didn't know what the hell it meant at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell it meant at the time. I was just like, all right, and of course I went on. I played 16 years, right?
Yeah.
Total, right? I think I played 11 in the CFL year. So it was I just kept on playing. It was like I was still working for that ring, being here in Saskatchewan, and eventually Tillman came, and we won't talk about Tillman.
He's messed up a lot of places, man. We don't have to
Anyway,
talk about him too much.
Anyway,
He screwed up both our clubs, man. He's a piece of work. Hedgehog.
We
Anyway,
I don't care. We could talk about whatever we want to. Yeah. So anyway, so I went to Winnipeg, and the reason I went to, because I played not the 9 years here. I played it in Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah.
We were talking behind the doors and to get everything going. I was planning on playing my career out here. It's near the end, right? I mean, I wasn't planning on going anywhere. But then he was like, yeah, we're all good, and then he had Jeremy O'Day call me.
O'Day was already the GM at the time?
Yeah. He after they got rid of Jerome.
Or the assistant GM?
Yeah. He was a GM. And instead of calling me himself, he had Jeremy, who was the PA rep, call me to tell me that they released me.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's telling of somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was pissed. So I'm like, okay, all right, where am I gonna go? All right, I'm like, okay. So I was thinking Calgary. I wanted to go to Calgary because I know Saskatchewan hates Calgary. Right,
Yeah.
Right.
I had some of this mental thought too when I in my last year.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, I'm like, but they hate Winnipeg more.
Mm-hmm. The Banjo Bowl, man. They hate Winnipeg. So that was your choice. So who was the head coach of Winnipeg?
Oh, I think it was Doug. Is it Doug Barry? I think that's what it was.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But but the thing about it, because it was like, okay, because I wasn't just trying to just put another year. I was literally trying to go. I really wanted a freaking ring.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm playing for that ring. Right. You know what I mean?
And Winnipeg was up and coming with that year.
Right. Exactly. Because I looked at the roster. Kevin Glenn was there. They had Charlie. They had Doug. PD. We had a great core.
Great
right?
D line too.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was a toss up between both of them. Yeah. So I went to Winnipeg, right? Because I literally wanted to come back here on Labor Day and beat Saskatchewan on Labor Day, right?
Oh, that's so funny.
That was my decision, right?
So how long into the did you make it the whole year? Did you play every game?
We went to the Cup, man.
Oh, that's right. You were in the Cup that year.
Yeah, exactly. We went to the Cup, and you know what? What was really good though? Because I came back here because I wasn't sure how Saskatchewan, because I still had a place here and stuff. And when I came out during the warm ups, not the warm ups, even the warm ups too, but the day before we did our did our day before walkthrough and stuff, they all cheered and they came out, and I was like, okay, all right, all right. I don't really, but still, I wasn't mad at Saskatchewan, but I was mad. I was pissed, right? But anyway. So anyway,
it's a business, man,
and then they won, they won by a draw. They won by a freaking quarterback draw.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Glenn broke his arm, and anyway, We won't talk about it. We won't talk about 2007.
Well, so but
Yeah.
hold on though. So while we're talking about your playing, so you spent some time in the NFL, right? You're the Seahawks, you're with Miami, you're with Jacksonville. So by the time you got Saskatchewan, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much has been the big show in the CFL. In terms of when you live there, who wants to watch the games in the CFL? Typically, people want to watch Saskatchewan. Like, even if you're talking Americans, right? Like, people want to watch that team. So you came there, and we were struggling, right? Remember, we came off 11 years without being in the playoffs. My rookie year.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
You know what's funny? Cal Murphy, because I was actually injured. I just was released from Seattle's training camp, and I was back in Florida, and Cal called me. Said, "Oh yeah, come on up, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "What are you?"
It's a hard decision.
Yeah. He's like, "What are you gonna pay me?" And I was like, all right, okay, let's go. Right? I didn't disclose the amount because there's some people that are making
know we get called big money in the back room, man.
Yeah, they want it. There's still some people are still bitter, whatever. But whatever. But I don't want to disclose, but they took care of me, and I came up, and he goes, we're 3-10, right? This is in September, and we're gonna make a push for the playoffs to go to the cup. And I laughed. I was like, 3-10 record. I was like, you're not going anywhere. You're not making the playoffs 3-10. And I said, well, anyway, what are you gonna pay me? I said, all right. So I came on up, and damn sure enough, we came up here, right? And it was fun. I ain't gonna lie, it was one of the most fun I had up here playing, playing with you guys and Cooler, and that line right there, man. It really rejuvenated because it was so much fun. It was so much. It was like I remember coming up and I didn't really know what the plays were. This and that. Just looking at it, and Cooler was like, "Don't worry, I'll just tell you where to go."
That's pretty much what he did for me too, man.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like you were on the other side, right, and I was on the other side, right. And then there was Gino, right, and it was JT, right.
Gino's talking to the receivers about their routes.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just, but we were. It was good, and it was like, yeah, it was good.
Cooler was the oldest of us, and
yes,
it was a
he
tight
just
group,
he
man.
just came up and just went. He went boom,
We'd hang
boom,
together
boom.
on the field, though. We'd hang together off the field. Like that was a tight group, man. When O'Day came along the next year, it was the next year, and I feel like that it's interesting to me, and maybe comment on this, but I feel like when he came along and anchored the center position, because we lost Cooler that year, and there's some kind of in and out, and some good guys came and went, but it is what it is. O'Day kind of all of a sudden it was like it was us. Like it was the five of us, and he held us. Like he was like, there's something about the way he led as the center that was really, really impressive to me.
Cooler is different, right? Cooler is different. Well, when Jeremy came in, and he was young too, right?
Yeah.
And he was smart. You know what I mean? I liked him because he was smart, and he came in, and I actually thought he was a rookie. I thought he was a rookie, right? Because I think I went back to the league, and then I came back.
Did you miss 98?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so you were back. Where were you in 98?
I went to Seattle.
You were in Seattle. Okay.
Yeah, I went back to Seattle, and then I came back in 99.
That's right.
Yeah, and then I thought he was a rookie, and he was like, he was. And you know me, I talk a lot of shit to everybody, right?
First thing I learned about you, buddy.
Yeah. It was just fun. It was just fun having laughing jokes, right? As long as we laughing and shit, right? It was just fun talking shit, and because it was just fun and funny, right? And Jerry was like, I don't know that rookie, but anyway, Jerry was smart, man, and it was like. And then we got out there, and it just happened. It just clicked. It was like boom, 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 and we were just like bang, and we had each other's back, man, and then we'll come off, and then there might be somebody we needed to tune up and practice. Maybe another young rook coming out that may have a little bit of attitude, may have to tune up a little bit,
Right. Well, and that was the group that was interesting because I was so, you don't know this about me, but I was so green and not big money green. Like I didn't know nothing when I first came in. Right. I played from high school. I had 5 years football experience total when I got to the CFL. I had 3 years in high school and I had 2 in university. Right.
Okay.
To reverse that. So I just didn't know anything. And so for me, that group was how I learned what offensive linemen were. And it was about having each other's back. It was about hanging tight after the game. It was
Yep.
about,
Yep.
it was about it. Like, I mean, we always made sure we took care of each other. Right. And then it was take care of the quarterback,
And
take
we
care of the
did.
receivers.
And you know what I like, yeah, because you were also an aggressive lineman, right? And you just like to get in there and mix it up, like,
I was young.
and that's how I was too. That's how I was, right? And that's what made our run. And then JT loved to come off the ball.
Oh,
right. And we would just come, we were like, whoo, right? And come up, and it was just, the communication was just nice across the board, just nice across the line. You know what I mean? And we'd sit there and communicate like straight across. And honestly, and I said, I think it was me and Jo that were in that meeting with DB. And once they got rid of you, they had the hardest time filling that hole. Right?
Yeah.
We had to go through a few different people to get that left side of the line filled. Or not just the left side, it was the back side. Because they had flipped me, right? Remember they used to flip me, right? Because I always played the strong side because I was always playing the 3 technique.
Yeah.
Right? And playing against...
Dude, it changed my whole career doing that.
Yeah.
Because that made me able to play either side. But
Yes.
it also, when I was in Saskatchewan before, so when they started doing that my third year, I mean, it was humbling, right? I'm not going to lie, because, you want to play the 3 technique too, right?
Yeah.
But until I got to Edmonton, where I started playing that 3 technique as a left guard, because I just stayed at left the entire time.
Yeah.
I didn't have that responsibility, and it changed my whole game. Right. So when I got to Edmonton, it made it so that I became a better player somehow. Like there was a confidence building. There was like I said, I was really green. Right. So it was part of that whole process was, getting my butt kicked by Johnny Scott one time and picking up my game and watching film. And like there's stuff that had to happen. Right.
Yeah.
What happened to you that changed? Like what if you can think of anything meaningful, mistake, a trial inside the game, outside the game? What's the most meaningful thing that changed your life in the game?
I could say something happened to me with my rookie year, and I'm going to tell a story. It happened my rookie year, which kind of made me just change the way I approached every game. Because usually before every game, a lot of people didn't realize, I was always like in my own, I got into like a little zone, little boom, lock in and little zone and everything else, right? And, I joke around the locker room and talk a lot of crap and play around, but game day, you guys used to even joke about it, game day Drew, right? You guys, there was game day Drew. Right, you guys knew how I came. Game day Drew. It was serious, right? I maul and I just destroy, throw. It was kind of like a war for me. I just lock in like that, right? And what happened to me my rookie year, right? In the Miami Dolphins, right? When I was drafted, drafted Miami. So there was that Richmond Webb, Keith Sims and the old line and stuff like that. We had it was a preseason game, and we were practicing against Washington in Miami, all week and stuff. And good week of practice. Obviously when you're practicing against another team, right?
Yeah.
There's no thud. Right. There is no thud. Every practice is a freaking game, right? Yeah. Every time you step on the field for anything, it's a game. You don't lose, right? I was having a great week, right? And obviously, with young rookie, we joking, we clowning first year, we were enjoying it, right? And we were driving, we were going to the game, and the preseason game, it's a preseason game, right? And we were in the back of the bus, just clowning, cracking jokes, That's kind of, Webb and the starters, they're all talking, but they're not playing. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
They're not playing, right? We're the ones that's playing, right? But they're cracking jokes, and of course I like to crack jokes and laugh and everything else, right? So I'm out there cracking jokes too, The game, we're not thinking about the game, not concentrating, not thinking some of those things that we do to prepare ourselves for a game, which you know what I'm talking about, right? I was just cracking jokes, right? And taping there for a game and stuff. I was on the kickoff return team, setting the wedge. Right, because that's what they used to do. You set the wedge. Yeah. I thought that was a big old lineman athletic and stuff, and this linebacker running down or whatever, 270-pound full speed 4.8. I got to stand there and pow, right? Got to brace and take on this guy running full speed, right? Set the wedge. He came down and fop, right? Came up, boom, and I hit him. Stood him up, but he buckled my knee, right? And it's my bad knee anyway, right? Still buckled my knee, like, but I still had him and set the wedge, but kind of messed me up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And played the game, and it messed up my knee, and and I had a bad game, right? For my standards and stuff, right? And it wasn't the best game. Everything, I wasn't able to move. It was this and that, and I wasn't locked in. Wasn't even thinking of the plays. Shit's happening on the field, like things moving around, and confused. I'm like, everything looks like this.
Yeah.
It's moving so fast, right? You're a rookie. You got to be able to get into the, as you realize, the game gets easier the longer you play it, because it is what it is. You know what I mean? There's only 12 guys.
Start slowing down. Everybody's going.
A pig is a pig is a pig. You could throw a wig and a wake up on it, whatever if you want to do, but it's still a pig underneath there. It's still bacon, right? So you can throw all the disguises in there and do all the movement. There's still only 12 guys on the field, right? You just got to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
But it's happening, but it doesn't seem like that, right? And guys this is their crap. Anyway, now I need to say, I had a bad game. After Richmond, Webb came up to me. Webb was my boy. Webb was like, he was laughing. He goes, yeah, so it's back here in the back of the bus, kiki and laughing and shit, clowning. When you should be locking in, you should be locking in before the game, getting ready for the game. He goes, you weren't locked locked in. You're back there laughing, cracking jokes before the game, not even locked in, and you went out there and friggin', had that shitty ass performance, right?
How'd you take that?
He was right. I didn't know. I honestly didn't. It made no sense. I didn't understand that until he said that.
Yeah.
Right. And that was my rookie year. Right. So it's a learning experience. Right. That's what he said to me, and then I was just like, because it was horrible. So from that point on,
bad film never goes away.
Right. Yeah. But from that point on, never again. I lock in. I focus, right? Picture, visualize. If I'm going to put my hand around his neck, I'm going to put my hand around his neck. If I'm going to pick him up and slam him, I've already seen it. I've already done it. I've already know my position. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to grab that mug like this, and I'm going to, and I'm going to come down like this on top of his neck. I already know that. I've already seen it. And right. And if I'm playing against Fleming, right, big jump swim, right? He tries to bring you out wide and jump swim back inside. I'd set him up, right? I'd set him up just knowing that he's gonna come back, give it to him. Here he comes, stop, catch his ass. You know what I mean? So I from that point on, I've always locked in and realizing I started just taking. So I've always. So even my kids, I taught them and say, look and calm down, and focus in and try. Kids don't understand it, but that was a lesson that I took from that point from a rookie year that changed the way I approached the game, every game.
Well, and I can tell you how true I know that is, because I remember it. I remember there's a way you approached games that was very much, it was game day Drew.
Yeah.
And it was something that I one of the things I probably picked up from you, because I mean you were more experienced than I was, certainly, when I was in Saskatchewan, so I was trying to learn from everybody, but I
love to laugh and have fun, man. Yeah,
a lot of fun during the week, but I took it to the next level as the years went on and started visualizing guys doing things to my family before games. So I was
that I can see, yeah.
Seething, just trying, what did you do to my daughter? I mean, how
I
even think that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's poor Nate got some of that. I hate to tell you. It's just part of the deal, though, right?
But the thing about it, too, as a lot of fans don't realize they're watching a game, right? They're watching a game, right? Yeah. And they just, and sometimes they just figure that, guys just out there going through the motions and just doing shit, blah 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 blah. Hey, man, it's me against you. It is full on effort and work and training and all my might to do what I need to do is to bury you and hurt you or rah rah rah. That's literally what it is.
Because what is the result if you don't? This is what people don't get, man.
Job out window or aisle.
Humiliated, made fun of. Somebody
Yep.
gets a sack on you.
Yep.
They do a dance. Like, I mean, all a D lineman has to do is beat you once, and they have a great day,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
or
come on,
window or aisle, right?
Yeah, that's
you keep it window or aisle. That could be your job, buddy. that could be your job. It's like, what are you doing? It's because that one play could change the rate, this and that, and I always another thing I say shit rolls downhill. You don't want to be the one that stops them, because the guy above you, the coach and the head coach, they're not going to take the blame for anything. They're going to be like, oh, it was this fault, rah, rah, and it's going to roll it downhill.
100%.
Right? They don't want to lose their job, so they're gonna put it on whoever is down there playing. Well, I didn't give up that sack, right? This isn't that, but I've always, and it used to, and that's one of the things I think from the things that I've learned in the years I've played. Right, it's one of those things it's bothered me when people don't own up to their responsibilities, right?
Yes.
Or not even own up to the responsibility. Yeah, to own up to the thing and step up to the shit as a man and say, hey, you know what I mean? Or admit your part, own your part in what you play in certain things, right?
Yes.
And and none of us is perfect or anything that's in that. So and I'm relating it to football, like. So, as I said, they roll shit downhill. It's his fault, that fault. Don't take the blame, this and that, right? And I've always been like, and the way, so it's one of the things that I've carried over into like my coaching is a top-down mentality, right? Because I feel that coaching is really, really important, right? And it's the coaching is also a mentorship for the ones that you're coaching, right? You're teaching them values of life. It ain't just about the rules of the game. It's values of life. So sometimes so it's like I say that if because obviously I've coached kids. I help coach a high school now and stuff. If they're not doing something on the field, it's because you didn't coach me, you didn't show me, you didn't teach you right.
Yeah.
Right. If they ain't doing it, it's because you ain't showed them. Oh, I taught them. No, well, you know what? They need to. When I showed them, I taught to them. Well, then it ain't registered.
That's right.
So,
you told him ain't coaching. You told him you're not coaching.
You're a coach. This and that. Then you know what? Then you need to break it down better so they can understand it, or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if they're not doing it, it's because they have not grasped what you got in here. You haven't showed it to them or displayed it to them properly. It's a top-down mentality. Right.
When did you come to that realization, and how?
Like I said, all the shitty coaches I've had.
Fair game. We don't name names.
No. It's true. And not only that, but I've also seen people that have also exemplified that too as well. Right? It's not just me coming to that conclusion, but I've also seen coaches and other people like and say, hey, you know what? And I've also I came to that conclusion as well too, is the fact that I think even after I retired, that's kind of what it made, when I started going to coaching, some of the different things that made sense as well too, because now I could decipher who was doing what, right? And I'm gonna say I've had a ton of O-line coaches, right?
Yeah.
Ton of O-line coaches, and I could name some, I could name the ones along the way that made differences in my career. Right, like for like.
Well, shout out. Give me a couple.
Okay, well, from way back in high school, Ken Goddard. He's passed away now. From high school, I was playing defense and offense. Right, he basically said, "You're going to go to the States. You're going to scholarship. You're going to be an O-lineman." So he taught me how to be an O-lineman. Started teaching me a little technique, banana back, and all that stuff. Old school, this and that. Right.
Yeah.
He started me on the O-line stuff and doing different things out in Oshawa. Then John Martini, I got to give him. He's the one that actually realized that I actually had some talent because and brought in and John Martini. He's the one that actually got me in the direction of where I'm at today.
So?
People you could go. Here's the direction you need to go. He realized that hey, you got some talent. Right, we'll come back to that, but before I get in these tangents and fall back, but you could ask me at John Martini after, right?
Okay.
There's there's Dobby. I like Dobby when he came here.
Yeah.
when he came to Sask, right?
Dobby tried to teach us how to. I didn't like him originally because he was trying to get me to stop gorking people with my head.
Yeah, yeah.
The piano fingers. Right?
Yeah.
Piano fingers.
Yeah.
But it there was times to use it for sure.
No. Bill Dobson. Yeah.
Right. Great guy too. Loved him.
Yeah.
Him.
From way back when, right?
Yeah. He was also trying to teach. He would even have conversations with us about money.
Yeah.
He would say like, "Save your money, boys." Yeah.
He had to do a little set like this. Anyway,
I know.
You gotta get like
you did none of that.
I remember when I showed him that, and I did that too. He just busted out laughing. That was me mocking him. Right? Anyway, right. So, shout out to Marcel Belfay.
Yeah,
right.
Great guy.
And shout out to Bob Wiles. Bob Wiles came later in my career. Marcel came in at a point which really changed the game for me and opened up everything, the way I saw the game and how I saw defense and how I started reading, right? He showed, because it was one of those things. I was an old lineman. All the coaches was a front seven.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about anything else outside of here. Where the safety was, who's coming out, blah, 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 front seven, this play, this and that. When Marcel, he came in, he was an old line coach, but he's not an old lineman. Right? He's an OC. Yeah, he's an OC, right? But he's there teaching us O-line stuff, but whatever, right? But we had it. I said we had a gap in the O-line.
Yeah.
The best person that filled that thing with was Chill.
Yeah, Big Chill.
Right? Yeah, they filled that thing over with Chill, and Chill took the line, and we love. Yeah, that's my boy Chill. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
you guys were having fun. I remember watching film. Yeah. Chill was about 100 years old too, and still doing it. He's still doing it.
It was I had a great time with Chill. Right? We could chat. That's a whole other story. It's a whole other story, but boy, way to go. That's my boy Chill, man. Yeah. Anyway, Marcel, for me, right, and I would say probably for the old line as well too. We were able to decipher things. We started looking at safety, reading things in motion, and started understanding what the hell is going out there, and for me, and broke it down to where we knew when receiver when they were motioning, what it was going to do to the defense and how they're going to shift, to where we would come up to the line, right, and we would scheme. You remember Echeverry's defense when he first brought in that whole slant where he put everybody in the damn line and nobody could stop it.
Sting,
blah, 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 blah. That Sting, yeah, that's right, Sting. And Marcelo was with us, and he was a good player. And we just went, 1, 2, because look at this. I was just like, why don't we just go inside 5? Boom, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. Because we understood what was going on with the defense and everything, it wasn't just about like, oh, just look in here, let's just do it, right? We understood it, and we knew when to call shit, when to do what the defense is, what the weakness is. We would come up to the line as a group, right? And it could be a pass, right? And it could be like 2nd and 15 or whatever. We'd tell them Quincy, right? Yeah. Or Mike, right? Or good Mike, bad Mike, or blah, 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 blah. And we would run the ball. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or whatever, you know what I mean? And then we'd get, and then we would have the back. We'd bring the back in our room, so he understand what the hell we're talking about and what we're doing. We'd come up and see. We'd come up and because we would watch the film and Marcel would teach us. We would see shit happening and just boom, 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 and pick shit up. And I think that was the one year we were leading rushing and passing in the league at one point, right?
Yeah.
A few sacks, and we were few sacks and leading rushing in the league at one point. We have the pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. But it was that shit, right? And which elevated my game, right? And then when I injured my neck,
when did you injure your neck?
2002.
And then you played till what was your last year?
2009.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2008 was Toronto. Sorry, 2008.
Yeah.
And 2002 I herniated my neck. In 2003 I won that.
Yeah.
Right there. You see it? Right there?
Yeah, I see it. That was 2003.
Yeah, 2003. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So
going to ask you about that.
so that's But when I injured my neck and it stopped me from putting this in there, right? And I was like, oh crap. So then I had to change my stance up, got down really low, and then everything just like boom. I was able to come up and leverage. I played the game, changing style up, came out with leverage and stuff. And the last O-line coach, Bob Wiles, right? He was a true O-line coach, and he brought more to my technique as well, right?
Yeah.
And
Which
that was
is
like,
crazy at that age.
and that was those were my last years out the door,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I'm talking because this is like year 14, 15 for me,
Yeah, like that's
right?
insane that he's
Right?
changed your technique.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I'm talking to him. I went to Winnipeg pretty much on one leg, you know what I mean? Because the surgery pretty much on one leg. But hey, he changed my technique up and everything else, and I still brought in my knowledge of what I've known what I've learned from other pastors and coaches and how to read D and how to block, because he one of those things that what he was doing, obviously because with a young old lineman, just to like as I said, most old linemen would just teach the box. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, okay, so that's why they usually have a lot of centers molly. From like, you remember what a molly is, right? The center would be like from center, double read, right? Right?
Yeah.
They have a molly. You're not going to come out here to here, right? And, and we got rid of that shit when we were in Saskatchewan, right? And we got rid of that shit in Saskatchewan, like, as an O-line group with me, J.O., Chill, Gino, and CT was a young one, right? And whoever, but it was kind of, but because we were the vets, we kind of got rid of that because we're like, look, we can see where the blitz is coming. You don't need to freaking molly. Just sit right here. We could read that.
Yeah.
Just boop, 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 boop. Keep a nice clean pocket. Because when you remove that guy, there's a big old gap here. It gives these guys room to run and all this other crap.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
It just puts you on the island. It puts your center on an island.
Exactly, right? And we were just doing that. So it was one of those things, he was like Abby was the center, but I was just like, hey, I was like, why don't we just do this? And he goes, if you could see it, you could call as long as you block it up. He goes, don't screw it up, Greenie. Don't screw it up, Greenie. And he goes, and then Dominic Picard, he was the backup, and Abby, was having some issues at the time, and
Abimetric.
Abby Khan.
Oh, Abby Khan. Okay.
Yeah, this is in Winnipeg. Sorry,
right.
Winnipeg. Yeah, right, and then Dominic Picard was there. That was his rookie year. And he was coming around, and French guy, and you do it, as Dom, I love, he was funny. He was aggressive and stuff, you know what I mean? He had that really strong accent, but the kid loves to play. He was like a you, he was like you, a young bull. What a hit, right? But he was so eager to learn. He was also smart, and he was always like, pop, pop. I'm like, no, we're not popping. Right, because we had to call it a pop. We ain't popping now. So I started calling. Every time you see that look, you go pop. I'm like, nope, we're not popping. No, we can see that down. Not pop. We're not popping, pop. no pop. No, right. So I started calling pop, right.
Well, because when we were playing Calgary, with that 3-man front that Calgary would bring in, they made it so enticing to pop everything.
Yeah.
But then you end up with a center on an island.
Yeah. But we can see it. But if everybody's on the same page and we're looking it up, we're like, hey, you practice it.
Yeah, it's so much easier to just shift it over.
Yeah, we would practice it because we've been practicing. When we run the blitz, or we're like, throw this in there. We'll tell them that we want to see this blitz. Throw the blitz in there. We don't want to know when it's coming. Just throw it in there.
Yeah. Right.
And if we go up there and we screw it up, we'll be like, hey, coach, run that back. You know what I mean? We're like, run that back. We want to see that again.
Yeah.
Right? That was us as a group. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Andrew, with all this stuff that you've learned, all these coaches, give me some lessons that you carried out of the game. I mean, you've given me a couple already, but I want to get a clip out of it. So give me like 3 lessons, rules that you have that you learned from 16 years, man. That's a lot, big chunk of your life, right?
Man, I learned I learned a lot of lessons from the game, man. I'm gonna take the long way around.
You always
But,
do.
well, I'm gonna take the long way around because there's usually I learned shit from the sport and the game, right? I worked at SAS Sport and Lotteries while I was playing there, from 2006 on. I did my internship there, and then I ended up working full time during the off season and stuff. And I was administering kids sport in the province.
I love
obviously
seeing that, by the way, as an
obviously
outsider.
kids sport helps kids that can't afford to play sports, an opportunity to play sports. To me and to us, sports is not just sports, right? And the one thing I like about SAS Sport and Lotteries, when I was there, I don't know, it's probably changed, almost changed a lot, but damn near everybody that worked at SAS Sport and Lotteries plays sports, are involved in sports, or on a team sport, or on some level, if it was at college or high school, but they're involved in it, right? And are a believer of it, right? And it's not because of just, oh, my kid's going to play pro this or that, or whatever it is, whatever sport it is. It's about what sports does for the kids. With the mantra they have, I don't know if it's still the same mantra, but what I really like is it says sports is more than just a game, right? It's more than just a game. It's not just a game. It's what you learn from the game, the sport. How to work with others. How to work with people you don't like, right? How to set goals, right? How to succeed. How to fail. How to bounce back. Right? A lot of these things, how to give effort, how to not give up, how to dig, how to sit back and how to decipher, discipline, control, mind control, all this other stuff. I tell people you cannot be a dummy and play sports or play football or play anything on any high level. You will not get past certain levels. Like you don't really go from high school to college or get out of college into the pro if you ain't got this. Because when you get out on the field, you got to use this. There's so much stuff going on. You have to use this to understand. Otherwise, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get somebody else hurt. You're going to lose people's job, right? You're going to,
what you said about bouncing back and about actually getting beat and losing a game and coming back from losing a game. I mean, like how many times in your life have you had to come back after playing football?
Yeah.
Right? Like things happen in life, man. That's what it's all about, right?
What if you lose this deal? What if you lose a job? Or you got rejected for a job or somebody says no, even for an interview, what are you going to do? It builds tough skins. It builds resiliency. It builds resilience in the individual. It's not just football you get that. You know what I'm saying? Football requires great discipline. There's a lot of team sports out there, right? And they're all great. Hockey, you got to be on the same page, and understand, and you got to give effort. Football, everybody's got different roles. You kind of stay in your lane, and you work together in your department to make sure that this other department is successful, so we can all get across the goal and complete the task.
Yeah,
you got to work together as a team.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just a team of receivers, a team of O-linemen. It's a team of everybody, quarterback. Because if O-linemen ain't blocking, quarterbacks ain't throwing the ball, or running backs is not running the ball, no matter how good they are. Receivers are not catching the ball. And even if we're freaking doing our job and blocking the crap out of it, and nobody's getting to the quarterback, if the quarterback ain't throwing the ball, receivers ain't catching them. Even if the quarterback's throwing the ball and the receiver is not catching them, we're not getting any touch on, so we all got to rely on each other. You see what I'm saying? And if the defense is not stopping them, you could put up 30, 40 points, 50 points, and still lose a game.
We've done it.
So you see what I'm saying? So it's not just the game. It's all those little lessons that a lot of people don't really see what's really going on, and you don't really understand unless you're entrenched in it, right? It's one of the things also. So I know you and I were talking about transitioning off the field from football.
That's where I want to go next,
right? Like from football to a job.
I'll agree with you, Andrew. Yeah. I'll agree with you that you all those lessons. I mean, you actually spoke to all of them very well, and there's more, but we'll stick with those. Yeah. And those are great lessons. But then I also know that there's a high percentage of guys that are coming out of professional sports, not just football, but we'll use football as an example.
Yeah, yeah.
You know them and I know them, who get out of the game and it's a real struggle, sometimes a life and death struggle. They don't know and so why with all these great lessons, what are we missing? I guess is my question.
As I was getting to, the transition from the locker room to the boardroom. Locker room, boardroom. Business is done in a boardroom. Locker room. It's still a business, but it's still another room, right?
Yeah.
All of those things that I just expressed is the reason why I feel athletes, especially high performance athletes, are exceptionally good and should have an easy transition, but we don't. From the locker room to the boardroom at times. We're extremely smart and intelligent, and a lot of people don't realize we all went to college, right? 4 or 5 years with degrees, right? And still being a student athlete, right? It's the hardest thing. We didn't just go there to focus on. We didn't just focus on school. Everybody just goes to school. We did school and football and crammed it all together, and everything else that had to. We crammed it all together. It takes a lot of this and control and mind power and strength and grit and focus and everything else. It takes all of that, right? Besides just the brawn and everything, right? It takes a lot more than that. And I'm gonna say, it's like being in the army, right? Or being in, it's a different mentality. You learn different things. Not everybody's built for shit, and it builds a different resiliency. A lot of guys come out there and like, okay, so it's like we've played football, right, or play whatever sport it is, from like now it's like for me like little league, like 6 years old, all the way up to like high school, where you're a team, and eventually it becomes a business, right? It's all and everything you do, you train, you work, you put everything, all the effort, you bring your study into football, right? You pay it for a long time. That's a career, right?
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years. It's a career. Most people stick to that one career their whole life, 30, 40 years experience or whatever it is, right? We usually done after, that's an average year, if you're lucky to play 3 years or more in the league, right, and you transition to that work role properly, it's still all a transition kind of at the same time. Mm-hmm. A lot of those guys still, because they get out early, and by the time they get to say 35 or 40, whatever time they retire, they've already got like 10, 15 years in experience at a position, holding a certain salary and a certain experience that they could build. They've already built a resume at that position.
Yeah, like the guys that play 3 or 4 years there's something that and you'd probably appreciate this. There's something that I felt I lost by playing so long.
Yeah,
I lost those years of life without kids, without a wife, to just hit my shoulder to the grindstone and just work at a career. Because by the time I was done, I was 38. You were 42. I've already put my work in. This from 25 to 35, man. You got to be grinding in a career, right? Well, I was. But it was
exactly at another career. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I said I retired at 42, right? I retired at 42 from the league, and 16 years professional experience, right? Yeah. Now I'm going into the industry and stuff, right? And now I got to start from zero, right? At 42. Somebody at 40, and you know what? That salary is not what I need to support my family. Because you're starting at zero now. You're a rookie. That's a 20-year-old salary.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a 42-year-old man. I need a salary to support my family and pay these bills. Right? So now we got to come in and we got to grind. Start off with zero experience when another guy already's been there. He's already got like 10, 15 already. He's already a director or a VP or something, already holding that position, already getting that higher six-figure. And he's been doing that for years.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I started. Now I've already got more than 10, 15 years experience in the industry that I'm at now. Right? I've put that time in. I've gone back to school, and I've even gone back and get continuing education because I've had that time. Since I retired at 42 to where I'm at 55 right now. Right? And I had to invest some of my own time and money into trying to. Because you see, when you start off with 25, you're starting off here. This is your peak, right?
Yeah.
This is your learning curve. You know what I'm saying? And eventually it levels out, right? It just, it gets low, but it levels out. But it's not really here. When you start off with 42, your learning curve is a little bit straight up, because I need to know everything that you know. I got to cram all of these freaking 15 years. I need to get some experience in here right now.
Yep.
Right? So I got to know all of this stuff so I could get to a point, so I could get to a level, so I could earn what I need to be earning.
So Andrew, what would you give for advice for guys that are getting past that 5-year mark? Maybe it's even that 3-year mark, and they're starting to think about their careers after football.
So the thing is that the thing is what I'm saying is that as a high level athlete, college, professional, we have this. We have the strength and the brain power and the smarts and the knowledge and the grit and the grind to do whatever the hell we want, because we've been doing it. You just got to just be able to just realize that I already have it. Now I got to transfer it from this career to this career. Everything that I've put into the grit, the grind, the brain power, the study, all of that, the effort. It may not lift in 300 pounds. It may not be lifting 300 pounds. But I literally got to maybe spend some time and dig into this and try to understand it. That's my heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Right. You still got this. You know what I'm saying? It's changed. It's changed.
When we talked, you and I have both lost some guys since their careers ended. A lot of respect for guys I've played with in the past. I hate to see guys die early, especially. I mean, I like losing touch with a guy like Ben Fairbrother and having him die in a motorcycle accident. It shocked me at 52. Shouldn't be dead, and that's not really what we talked about, because he jumped into a great career and he had another family, and he did real well for himself. It's
yeah.
But we've lost guys to other things too, right? What mistakes? Yeah. To mistakes, I guess, is my problem, because I know I made some. What mistakes are you seeing for guys that aren't and not putting anybody ever on Front Street? That's not what I'm trying to do. But what mistakes would guys be making that are going to keep them from making this transition?
I think the awareness is kind of in the league right now, in the professional level, is kind of been elevated, and I'm assuming and I'm hoping that more people are. So when we were coming out, I don't think we weren't really discuss financial.
No.
It was just kind of something, like you get this money and you just go, or what we're going to do. Nobody was really talking to us or teaching us anything about the finances and stuff like that, or prepare for your second career. That's the other part too as well. Yeah. The preparation part. Nobody really told us about the preparation part for the second career, this transition. Right. There's a transition period that everyone is going to go through that's playing a professional sport. Is at the end of the career. Either you're retired, you don't do nothing, or you like this and that, right? Or you do something else. It's a transition period, right? And nobody tells us about prepares us for that. And I understand that now, because unless you're maybe you're one select individual where you may have somebody spitting in your ear about telling you certain things, but it's not. We wasn't talk about. Maybe you have your dad or your uncle on your side, or of a deal that may happen, but you're just that one individual in a locker room that has that kind of connection, right? But nobody else is privy to all of that, right? It's almost like
not listening,
or not listening, right?
That's the other thing, because I know there's times where I wasn't listening,
Exactly, or that too.
I felt like I was preparing for the last few years before I retired, because you guys start figuring that this can end at any time.
As a young cat coming in, we only see right here, the tip of her hand. You know what I'm saying? Our vision isn't much further than that, right?
Yeah.
So we gotta prepare them for the vision and stuff. With our alumni association here in Regina, in the Saskatchewan area, and I wish we would do more, right? I've even tried to take on the role of trying to help these guys trying to find a job or make that transition into a second career, or prepare for a second career, right? So I've helped a few guys on like the young, like Regina, like on the riders,
Good.
Get jobs. And I'm not just talking a job where they're just gonna pick up a shovel and do this and that. If that's what you need, I said, look, I'm interviewing you for a career. what do you feel like you want to do right now? Right? You need to get, what are you want to, is it a project manager? Is it a this or that? Let's look into trying to get you some experience right now.
In the off season.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So in other words, so when you retire, if you make it out of this season for this year and for the next 5 years, if you stick on this position and you may eventually hit that transition period, you can say, hey, I have 6 years experience. I got 3 years experience on this on my resume. I was doing football, but I got 3 years, PMing or BDing or manager of this, or you could put that also on your resume for such and such. So basically, you're preparing. So when the end of the time comes, you either have a job that you could just continue on, or you got a resume that you could put out there that you could just say, I'm not just like, hey, I'm just a football player looking for a job.
Yeah, the old Vic Stevenson line, right? I can do this.
Yeah.
Small skill set.
Yeah.
I got nothing for you right now. Sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, man.
Tate,
Yeah.
Offensive linebacker,
Yeah.
All the way. I know you've been asked to do that. I've been asked to do that a few times in different jobs I've had.
Yeah.
You want to just Terry Tate this guy for me?
Yeah, Terry Tate. Yeah.
When you finish the Joe, you make some mo.
Oh yeah. What is that?
Hey man, it's been great catching up. I really appreciate your time. Let's do it again sometime.